ILIA, TOPURIA, or Arman Sarukian? If the belt wasn't on the line, who would be more satisfying for you to be fighting next, getting locked inside the cage against?
ILIA, definitely. We have a genuine dislike for each other, so I'd love to get in the cage and like settle that for once.
If you were to fight Paddy Pimblett, do you think that might be at a different weight division? Because he looked like a heavyweight in there. What was going through your mind when Paddy Pimblett stepped in the octagon?
He's fat. He's not someone that looks big because he has that muscle. It's because he's very undisciplined.
Did you think it might get physical?
I saw fear in his eyes, and you know, the eyes never lie.
I mean, Paddy, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't deserve to fight for the title. You know, he cannot jump ahead of me and fight for the title.
So do you think it should be you versus ILIA, Paddy versus Gaethje?
Yes.
Paddy Pimblett just warned ILIA TOPURIA after his fight with Charles Oliveira. However, Paddy said ILIA copies McGregor's style and tattoos, but lacks his talent and believes McGregor would have easily knocked ILIA out.
No, he's trying to be Conor McGregor, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's got the same tattoos, he's got the... He even said the other day, I'm going to put my balls on your forehead to make...
Put my balls on your
you can't knock me.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a carbon copy of McGregor, and I think if some people can't see through that, even though you see some people now saying he's better than McGregor, but he's not. In the prime at the same time, McGregor would have knocked him out with a straight left.
Furthermore, Paddy Pimblett said that he respects ILIA's skills and winning streak, but feels ILIA underestimates him and wouldn't train seriously if they ever fought.
He's a very good all-round fighter, lad. That's one thing what I always say, like I respect him as a fighter, and he doesn't respect me. I genuinely think if he fought me, he wouldn't train as hard. He just thinks he'd beat me. You know what I mean? I don't think he'd put as much hard work and dedication into his fight camps. He's on a legendary run, lad. He's knocked fucking Walk, Holloway and Oliveira out 3 fights on the bounce, lad. That's an unbelievable last 3 fights. I still think he wouldn't have knocked Volk out if Volk didn't take the fight too quick, like after getting a kick by Islam.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would kick him everywhere, like I am Steven Gerrard in 2005.
Additionally, Paddy said he'd finish ILIA late, enjoying 4 rounds of damage. He believes he could shock the world by winning.
I think the fans would love to see you versus ILIA finally come to fruition.
That'd be amazing.
How would that fight play out?
I'd finish him.
Which round?
I don't know. I'd love to be 30 seconds left so I can change his face for 4.5 rounds.
Could Paddy shock the world? What do you think?
On the other hand, Arman Sarukian said Paddy is good, but doesn't deserve a title shot. He wants ILIA next. Paddy should fight Gaethje.
I mean, Paddy, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't deserve to fight for the title. You know, he cannot jump ahead of me and fight for the title.
So do you think it should be you versus ILIA, Paddy versus Gaethje?
Yes.
Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen said ILIA versus Paddy is a real grudge. Now that ILIA won, Paddy might skip Gaethje and chase him.
ILIA TOPURIA versus Paddy is one of the truest grudges that we have in our sport right now. Some of you might not have known about it, and the rest of you might have forgot about it. But that B-roll and footage exists every bit as much as Masvidal and Leon exist. ILIA and Paddy exist. But how do we get there? One thing that Paddy said about his career, he said, I'll fight Gaethje and then I'll go deal with Charles. But he had a different idea if ILIA won. If ILIA wins and that's the big grudge match, move Gaethje out of the side. He's ready for the title right now.
Moreover, Paddy Pimblett believes size matters against ILIA, saying he's stronger, bigger, and confident he'd finish the smaller man in a real fight.
But when you got in the cage, were you shocked by how much bigger you were than him?
People just think he'd steamroll me, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's different when there's that much size difference. People think that, you know, I'm not good enough to go against them and stuff like that. But lad, I said to them, I will finish you, little boy.
I finish you, little man.
You know what I mean? Because he's like that much shorter than me. I'm so much wider than him. And that plays a part. That's why people cut weights. That's why you get to a certain weight division. Because that 10, 15 pounds makes a big difference. And as I said, I'd just kick up TOPURIA around the cage. Can't wait to shock a lot of people.
However, ILIA TOPURIA said Paddy is fat from lack of discipline, looked scared, and he saw fear in his eyes when he was in the octagon.
If you were to fight Paddy Pimblett, do you think that might be at a different weight division? Because he looked like a heavyweight in there. What was going through your mind when Paddy Pimblett stepped in the octagon?
He's fat. He's not someone that looks big because he has that muscle. It's because he's very undisciplined.
Did you think it might get physical?
I saw fear in his eyes, and you know, the eyes never lie.
Furthermore, Paddy said fighting ILIA would be most satisfying because they genuinely dislike each other and need to settle it properly.
ILIA, TOPURIA, or Arman Sarukian? If the belt wasn't on the line, who would be more satisfying for you to be fighting next, getting locked inside the cage against?
ILIA, definitely. We have a genuine dislike for each other, so I'd love to get in the cage and like settle that for once.
At last, Paddy Pimblett felt it was 50-50 he'd fight ILIA next. He questioned Oliveira's game plan and saw ILIA looked nervous.
Did you think if he were to win that you were going to be getting in there?
50-50, because we were talking about it the other day. We were saying if he gets him out of there in the first two, and it's very possible. Like, I thought if Charles could get him to the later rounds, might have been a bit different, but I really like Charles. But what the f was that game plan, lad? You know what I mean? Stand in front of him and get punched in the face. First 20 seconds he did a little bit, teeped him, leg kick, and I was thinking, oh, we could be in for a tough night for Topuria, and then Charles got it once and just started swinging with him. But when he was walking outside, he looked nervous.
Yeah.
And when ILIA walked out, he was just smiling. Like, that's going to play a part in this, yeah.
ILIA TOPURIA said if Paddy wins one more fight, he'll give him a title shot because of their history and hype.
For sure, he needs to win one more fight. If he wins the fight, he can fight for the title. I will give him the opportunity to fight for the title because we have a history behind, so it's going to be a massive fight.
Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman said ILIA versus Paddy makes sense. With ILIA as champ, it's a huge title fight fans want.
He mentioned Dustin, he mentioned Gaethje, he mentioned Arman, but the fight that would really make sense. Can I get a drum roll? ILIA T-Poor. These guys had back in the day. The storyline is there, bro. They're both stars in the UFC. If I'm the UFC, I'm booking Justin Gaethje versus Islam, and then I think you do ILIA Topuria on that fight. Whoever comes out of top gets the next title shot.
You're absolutely right, Henry. If the UFC just like, hey, you know what? Let's make the biggest fight we can in that division because Paddy the Baddy is up there as far as fame right now in that division. I like it, Henry.
So you prefer the ILIA fight?
I like the ILIA fight because if Justin Gaethje's fighting for the title, Dustin wants a retirement fight, Arman and Charles Oliveira are going to do that again. Hey, you hit the nail on the head. Guess what? Winner is ultra popular now and ready to challenge for that title.
Dana White said Paddy entering the cage after ILIA's win shouldn't have happened and isn't sure yet if that fight will happen.
ILIA, after the fight, he called in Paddy Pimblett and brought him into the cage, and they had to face off. Obviously, they've got a long history together. I know there's a lot of options on the table for ILIA, but when he shows that type of interest in a fight, does that make you want to make it?
Well, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that would have never happened. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't really think about that stuff tonight, other than, obviously the Van fight. But, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out.
Thanks for tuning in. The big question remains, ILIA or Paddy? Let us know your pick in the comments. If this breakdown brought the heat, hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And while you're at it, check out the other bangers we've got lined up on screen right now.